Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. In today's video, we are going to continue on with TryHackMe, the Junior Penetration Tester learning path. This is the Burp Suite area, and this room is called Burp Suite Repeater. Learn how to use Repeater to duplicate requests in Burp Suite. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1, Introduction. Welcome to the Burp Suite Repeater Room. In this room, we will explore the advanced capabilities of the Burp Suite framework by focusing on the Burp Suite Repeater module. Building upon the foundational knowledge covered in the Burp Basics room, we will delve into the powerful features of the Repeater tool. You will learn how to manipulate and resend captured requests, and we will explore the various options and functionalities available in this exceptional module. Throughout the room, we will provide practical examples, including a real-world exercise to solidify your understanding on the concepts discussed. All right, basically it says if you haven't done the Burp Suite Basics room, be sure to check that out before you continue on with this room here. And be sure to start the machine, which I've already done, and start the attack box, which I've already done. So let's go ahead and continue on to task number 2 here. And what is Repeater? Before using Burp Suite Repeater, let's familiarize ourselves with its purpose and functionality. In essence, Burp Suite Repeater enables us to modify and resend intercepted requests to a target of our choosing. It allows us to take requests captured in Burp proxy and manipulate them, sending them repeatedly as needed. Alternatively, we can manually create requests from scratch, similar to using a command line tool like curl. The ability to edit and resend requests multiple times makes Repeater invaluable for manual exploration and testing of endpoints. It provides a user-friendly graphical interface for crafting request payloads and offers various views of the response, including a rendering engine for a graphical representation. The Repeater interface consists of 6 main sections as depicted in the annotated diagram below. All right, so let's take a look here. And one says request list located top left of the tab. It displays the list of repeater requests. So let's say you captured something in here. You can just right click here and then send to repeater. See repeaters lighten up like that. Flip over to repeater and now you got your request ready to go. All right, so that's the request list is number 1 right up here. And then 2 is request controls positioned directly beneath the request list. These controls allows us to send a request, canceling a hanging request, and navigate through the request history. That's going to be this here. And request and response view, occupying the majority of the interface. This section displays the request and response views. We can edit the request in the request view and then forward it with the corresponding response, what will be shown in the response view. All right, which these two are request and response. All right, so if you hit send, you'll see the response. And 4 is the layout options. Located top right of the request response view, these options enable us to customize the layout of the request and response views. So you go ahead, you can play around with it, see which one you like the most, etc. I'm going to keep it as the default for now. And 5 is the inspector. All right, so the inspector is going to be up here, right here where it says inspector. Positioned at the top right side, the inspector allows us to analyze and modify requests in a more intuitive manner than using the raw editor. And then number 6 is the target, all right, which is here. It says target, and then it has the name of the target. And it says situated above the inspector, the target field specifies the IP address or domain to which the requests are sent. When requests are sent to Repeater from other Burp Suite components, this field is automatically populated. So, which section gives us a more intuitive control over our requests? And we just read over that. So that's going to be the inspector here. So there we go. And then task number 3 here, we're going to be talking about basic usage. We know what the application's interface looks like at this point, but how can we effectively utilize it? While manual request crafting is an option, it is more common to capture a request using the proxy module and subsequently transmit it to Repeater for further editing and resending, which I already shown that. Once a request has been captured in the proxy module, we can send it to Repeater by either right-clicking on the request, sending to Repeater, or by utilizing the shortcut Control+R. Shifting our focus back to Repeater, we can observe that our captured request is now accessible in the request view. So let's just go back here And let me close out of this. Okay, got rid of that. Now go back to this proxy here, and I'm just going to forward the request through all this stuff. All right, now if I go back here and just hit refresh, it should have captured this. Right. Okay. So you can do right click and then go to send to repeater. You can do the Control R shortcut. But now there's our target site here. See? Okay. Now let's continue on. And it's talking about the request view, which we have our stuff here. Both the target and inspector sections now display relevant information, albeit we are currently lacking a response, and we've already done that. Click the send button to get the response. Should we wish to modify any aspect of the request, we can simply type within the request view and hit send. Once again, this action will update the response view on the right accordingly. For instance, altering the connection header to open instead of close yields a response with a connection header containing the value keep alive. So let's talk about this here. If you go back here and you type in open, all right, and see how it doesn't say keep alive, it says close on the connection. So hit send, and now it says keep alive. Furthermore, we can utilize the history button situated to the right of the send button to navigate through our modification history, allowing us to move forward and backwards as needed, which view will populate when sending a request to the proxy module to repeater. Now that is going to be the request, because you're sending it from the proxy, right clicking or using the Control R and sending it to repeater. So that's going to show up in the repeater request area. So let's continue on to task number 4, and we're going to talk about message analysis toolbar. Repeater provides us with various request and response presentation options ranging from hexadecimal output to a fully rendered page. To explore these options, we can refer to the section located above the response box where the following 4 view buttons are available. And if we go back in there, you can see that here. See, yeah, the screen's too small, but if you hit this down arrow, you can see the rest here. So let's continue on. We are presented with the following display choices. Pretty, this is the default option, which takes the raw response and applies slight formatting enhancements to improve readability. Raw, this option displays displays the unmodified response directly received from the server without any additional formatting. Hex, by selecting this view, we can examine the response in a byte level representation, which is particularly useful when dealing with binary files. Render, the render option allows us to visualize the page as it would appear in a web browser. While not commonly utilized in Repeater, as our focus is usually on the source code, it still offers a valuable feature. For most scenarios, the pretty option is generally sufficient. However, it is beneficial to be acquainted with the usage of the other 3 options. So be sure to play around with it, play around with it, and see how you want things to look at in here. I mean, I usually just keep mine on the pretty option. Now let's continue. Adjacent to the view buttons on the right-hand side, we find the show non-printable characters button, which is the \n. This functionality enables the display of characters that may not be visible with the pretty or raw options. For example, each line in the response typically ends with characters \r\n representing a carriage return followed by a new line. These characters play an important role in the interpretation of HTTP headers. While not mandatory for most tasks, this option can prove advantageous in certain situations. All right, so let's go ahead and this is what they're talking about here. So show non-printable characters and such. So you click that, now you can see additional information there. All right, which option allows us to visualize the page as it will appear in the web browser? And that is going to be the render. And task number 5, we're going to be talking about Inspector. Inspector is a supplementary feature to the request and response views in the repeater module. It is also used to obtain a visually organized breakdown of requests and responses, as well as for experimenting to see how changes made using the higher level inspector affect the equivalent raw versions. Inspector can be utilized both in the proxy and repeater module. In both instances, it is situated on the far right side of the window, presenting a list of components within the request and response. And this is what it looks like here. Okay. And we have it over here already pulled up. You got requests, attributes, request query parameters, etc., etc. Among these components, these sections pertaining to the request can typically be modified, enabling the addition, editing, and removal of items. For instance, in the request attribute section, we can alter elements related to location, method, and protocol of the request. This includes modifying the desired resource to retrieve, changing the HTTP method from GET to another variant, or switching the protocol from HTTP1 to HTTP2. And this is what they're talking about here. So you go back, you just play around with it, switch it, GET. You can change it, type it in there. You can also do this, I believe. You can, if you right click in here, and I believe you can change it this way. Change request method. So and you can change it to something else. All right, let's continue on here. Other sections available for viewing and or editing include one, getting a response, or sorry, request query parameters. These refer to data sent to the server via the URL. For example, in a GET request like the following, the query parameter redirect has a value of false. Two, request body parameters similar to query parameters but specific to post request. And be sure to read through all these all the way. I'm just going to skim over them. Request cookies. This section contains a modifiable list of cookies sent with each request. For request headers, it enables us to view, access, and modify, including adding or removing any headers sent with our request. 5. Response headers. This section displays the headers returned by the server in response to our request. It cannot be modified as we have no control over the headers returned by the server. All right. While the textual representation of these components can be found within the request and response views, Inspector's tabular format provides a convenient way to visualize, interact with them. Experimenting with the headers, additions, removals, and edits in Inspector helps grasp how the corresponding raw version changes in response. Which section in Inspector is specific to post requests? And that's going to be the looks like the body parameters, right? So let's go ahead and copy and paste this over. Task number 6, practical example. Repeater is particularly well suited for tasks requiring repetitive sending of similar requests, typically with minor modifications. This is particularly useful for activities such as manual testing for SQL injection vulnerabilities to be covered in a forthcoming task. Attempting to bypass web application firewall filters or adjusting parameters in a form submission. Let's begin with an exceedingly simple example. Using repeater to modify the headers of a request sent to the target, capture a request from here, which we've already done, and proxy module and send it to repeater. Send the request once from repeater. You should see the HTML code for the page you requested in the responsive view. Try viewing this and one of the other display views, e.g. hex, using inspector or manually. If you prefer, add a header called flag authorized and set it to have a value of true as shown below. So let's go ahead and close out of this, and we'll send another request over to repeater. All right, and it wants us to add this flag here, so I'm going to copy it out of here, and let's add it to the bottom as shown in that screenshot. So there we go, flag authorized, and then set that to true. All right, what is the flag you receive? So let's go ahead and send it, and there's the flag. See how you can edit all kinds of responses or requests and get different responses back depending on what you put in there. Number 7 is the challenge. In the previous task, we demonstrated the usage of repeater by adding a header and sending a request. This served as an illustrative example for utilizing repeater. Now it's time for a straightforward challenge. To begin, make sure Intercept is disabled in your proxy module and navigate to this products page here. So I'm going to copy this and let's follow along. So I'm going to go back here, turn Intercept off, navigate to the product section like so. Next, try clicking on some of the see more links. Observe that you are redirected to a numeric endpoint. All right, so it says see more links. So let's go ahead and click on a few of them. redirected. Yep, products 1, 2, 3, whatever. Okay. The objective is to validate the endpoint, confirming the existence of the number you wish to navigate to and ensuring it is a valid integer. However, consider what might occur if this endpoint is not adequately validated. Answer some questions. Enable intercept again and capture request to one of the numeric product endpoints in the proxy module, then forward it to repeater. So let's go back over to Burp and turn intercept on like so. And I'm just going to refresh the page. All right, now we have this. Now send this over to repeater like so. Flip over to repeater. Now ready to go. See if you can get the server to error out with a 500 internal server error code by changing the number at the end of the request to extreme inputs. What's the flag you received when you cause a 500 error in the endpoint? Hey everybody, just a quick little blurb here. As you can see here, most people that view my channel are not subscribers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm, helps spread the good word out there, helps bring more people and increase our glorious community here. All right, I'm all about helping out others. I know what it's like to come up in cybersecurity or even try to get into cybersecurity and not knowing where to look. I'm just having this channel up so I can help out other people. All right, that's all I got. This is what it should look like. As you can see here, I have replaced that number 2 with a negative 100. I hit send, and now I have this 500 internal server error. And let's take a look. You're supposed to see there's a flag in here somewhere. So let's browse through here and try to locate the flag, and there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it, plug it in here. That's one thing we'll be testing in here as well, input validation. As you can see, it gave some status error code here as I put in a negative number. Now let's continue on to task number 8, Extra Mile Challenge. This task is designed to test your skills in a slightly more challenging real-world scenario utilizing Burp Repeater. If you possess the expertise to independently perform a manual SQL injection, you can skip ahead to the final question and attempt this as a blind challenge. However, a detailed walkthrough will be provided below if you require guidance. Prerequisite knowledge. Before starting on this challenge, it is recommended that you familiarize yourself with the principles of SQL injection. If you haven't already, please consider exploring the SQL injection room dedicated to this topic, or you can check out my video over that. Although a comprehensive step-by-step guide will be provided, having a basic understanding of SQL injection principles will prove beneficial in completing this task. Challenge objective. Your objective in this challenge is to identify and exploit a union SQL injection vulnerability present in the ID parameter of the /about/ID endpoint. By leveraging this vulnerability, your task is to launch an attack to retrieve the notes about the CEO stored on the database walkthrough. We know that there is a vulnerability and we know where it is. Now we just need to exploit it. Let's start by capturing requests to the following. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this out, paste it in. All right, now we have it captured, and I'm going to right click and send it to repeater. Now we're ready to go. Now that we have our request primed, let's confirm that a vulnerability exists. Adding a single apostrophe is usually enough to cause the server to error when a simple SQLi is present. So either using Spectre or by editing the request path manually, add a apostrophe after the 2 at the end of the path and send the request. So let's go ahead and do that. They call it apostrophe. I just called it a single quote. But let's go ahead and send it. Now we have this 500 server internal server error message here. You should see that response internal server error indicating successfully broke the query. If we look through the body of the server response, we see something interesting. At around line 40, the server is telling us the query we tried to execute. So let's go ahead and scroll down here, sit around line 40. So it's going to be way towards the bottom, it looks like. And there we go. And you can move this over a little bit too. Let me try to move some of this over so we can have a little bit more space here. And it won't let me move that side. Okay, whatever. Let me just go back up so we can see it. And there we go. This is an extremely useful error message that the server should absolutely not be sending us, but the fact we have it makes our job significantly more straightforward. The message tells us a couple of things that will be invaluable when exploiting this vulnerability. The database table we are selecting from is called people. The query selects 5 columns from the table: first name, last name, PFP link, role, and bio. We can guess where these fit into the page, which will be helpful for when we choose where to place our requests. With this information, we can skip over the query, column number, and table name enumeration steps. Although we have managed to cut out a lot of enumeration required here, we still need to find the name of our target column. As we know the table name and the number of rows, we can use a union query to select the column names for the people table from the columns table in the information underscore schema default database. A simple query for this is as follows. All right, so let's go ahead and just copy and paste this out of here. And I'm pretty sure they're going to want us to put this in here. So let me delete, add another space in there. There we go, and paste. This creates a union query and selects our target, and then 4 null columns to avoid the query erring out. Notice that we also change the ID that we are selecting from to 0 by setting the ID to an invalid number. We ensure that we don't retrieve anything with the original legitimate query. This means that the first row returned from the database will be our desired response from the injected query. Looking through the returned response, we can see that the first column name ID has been inserted into the page title. Looks like I was able to resolve the issue. Now all I did was go back into the main website here and I plugged in that SQL query they wanted us to do, and I just captured it via the proxy, and then I sent it back over to repeater. Now it says 200. So now let's go ahead and continue on. ID has been inserted into the page, as we saw right there, ID none. We have successfully pulled the first column name out of the database, but now have a problem. The page is only displaying the first matching item. We need to see all the matching items. Fortunately, we can use our SQLi to group the results. We can still only retrieve one result at a time by using the group underscore concat open close parentheses function. We can amalgamate all of the column names into a single output. So if we add that in here, I'm just going to copy and paste all this again like so, and I'm going to see if I can just edit it this way and if it'll work. All right, so let's go ahead and clear all this out. Like so, and then put that space back in there. See if it'll work. Ah, there we go. Awesome. Now we can see ID, first name, last name, all the other stuff in there. Yep, and that's what they're explaining here. We have successfully identified 8 columns in this table, which are the following: ID, first name, last name, PFP link, role, short role, bio, and notes. Consider our task. It seems a safe bet that our target column is notes. Finally, we are ready to take the flag from this database. We have all the information that we need. Name of the table is people. Name of the target column is going to be notes. The ID of the CEO is 1. This can be found simply by clicking on Jameson Wolf's profile on the About page and checking the ID in the URL. Let's craft a query to extract this flag, and this is what it looks like. So let's go ahead and copy this over, and we're going to paste it in there like so. So delete all this stuff out of here, replace this information with this, and then hit send, and there's the flag. Exploit the Union SQL injection vulnerability in the site and get the flag, and we have that here. So let's go ahead and grab that and plug it in, and that's pretty much it. See how that works, folks? We saw it in live action here, and hopefully you followed along and got the practical hands-on aspect of it. Task number 9, conclusion. Congrats on completing the Burp Suite repeater room. By now, you should have a solid understanding of effectively utilizing repeater to edit, manipulate, and resend request. Additionally, you should have gained insight into the numerous practical applications of this tool. In the next room of the module, we will explore Burp Suite Intruder module. Intruder allows for automated and customizable attacks, making it a powerful tool for testing security testing or for various security testing scenarios. Good luck with the next room and enjoy exploring the capabilities of Burp Suite and Intruder. Now, Intruder, I've mainly used this for like brute forcing, login portals and such. But we're going to get into that in the next video. And that wraps up this video. So if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell so you know every time I post. If you're enjoying the content, hit the like button. Helps out the channel, helps add more people to this channel so we can grow our community. And hit the comment section below on your thoughts and opinions on the information shared in the video. As always, thank you all for watching. Have a nice day, and I will see you later.